Hello and welcome to Digital Nation. It's the show where we scour the length and breadth of the UK to find some of the best stories from the country's local TV stations. In this week's show, we go for a quick kick around in Bristol. We climb aboard the RRS James Cook in Southampton. And we explore a cave that's just been discovered beneath a house in Nottingham. And as ever, you can talk to us using the hashtag Digital Nation. First up this week, we're heading to Liverpool, where a group of Second World War veterans were recently bestowed with the French government's highest honour. Yes, among the British recipients of the Legions d'Honour are wartime Prime Minister Winston Churchill and author J.K. Rowling.
It was a momentous day for 6 World War II veterans from Liverpool this week as they received France's highest military honour. One of the recipients was Liverpool-born Desmond Ryan, who as a young teenager volunteered for the Home Guard before being enlisted in the 2nd Battalion Royal Ulster Rifles as a rifleman soldier in 1944. Serving in France, Belgium and Germany until the end of the war, Desmond's responsibilities concerned logistics and supplying ammunition to the front. At one point, with just 5 other soldiers, he oversaw a camp of 600 displaced persons, mostly Russian. He then continued to serve in Palestine until being discharged in 1948.
In Liverpool, on behalf of the President of the Republic of France and its peoples, presents you with the Ordre National de la Légion d'Honneur in recognition and thanks for your part in liberating France and its peoples from Nazi occupation and swiftly bringing to a close the war in Europe.
I feel very good. I'm very honoured to be presented with a medal.
What does it mean to you, though, knowing that all the service that you put in throughout the World War II?
Well, it means you've been recognised for the work you've done. I think it's a great honour for the French people to give you one.
Over to Oxfordshire next, where the fire service is on hunt for more on-call firefighters. There are around 18,000 on-call firefighters around the UK. They're trained people from all walks of life, working everyday jobs, and they're essentially on call to respond to a range of emergencies 24 hours a day. Think you'd be up for the job?
All of Oxfordshire's fire stations have on-call teams that make up 60% of the county's fire and rescue service. Out of 24 stations, 18 are crewed solely by on-call firefighters. But some say it's becoming difficult to recruit new members.
It's very difficult. People have less time on their hands nowadays. Employers are very reluctant to release people in the financial climate nowadays. What we're looking for people is to give up any part of their day or time. We've become a lot more flexible in the type of hours we're expecting from on-call firefighters, and we can fit it in and around your work life and your private life as best we can. We obviously need a commitment. The more people we get in makes it more flexible for everybody on these stations, so we can share that time off and work together.
Oxfordshire County Council's Fire and Rescue Service has launched a new campaign which aims to recruit 40 more on-call firefighters by the end of this year. Becoming an on-call firefighter is a paid professional role, and they receive the same training as full-time firefighters.
You've obviously got to be physically fit and able to do the job, and we help you with that, and the job keeps you fit, which is one of the other benefits of the job. But you also learn a lot of good skills, and these skills from first aid through to fire safety to building construction to how to dismantle a motor vehicle. All fantastic skills you can take with you, you can take to your primary employment.
An on-call firefighter will go about their everyday life until they are alerted to an emergency in their area. In that time, they have 5 minutes to get to their local fire station and respond as a professional firefighter.
I think there is a period where you have to adjust. It's perfectly natural to find it challenging at first, but I think once you get into the routine of being on call and being an on-call firefighter, you kind of get used to it and you just get on with your daily life. You don't sit around waiting for a call. I think your days become quite long if you're waiting for your page to go off. If you just get on with your normal routines in your day, then you can still lead a very normal life.
But while teams are always recruiting, it's hoped this particular drive will see a rise in on-call firefighters to local communities.
The beginning of February saw World Cancer Day, uniting people suffering with the disease from all around the world. But every day, researchers are battling to fight cancer. And in Brighton, Latest TV met one doctor whose team are studying how cells send messages to one another in order to take the fight to cancer.
Dr. Georgios Giamis' team discovered a molecule, LMTK3, which is being used in the fight against cancer. His team now focus on cell signalling to identify how cells give instructions to cancer cells in order to live or die.
Here at the University of Sussex, we are actually focusing on two types of cancer, mostly breast cancer and brain tumors, so-called glioblastomas. And the main focus of our research is trying to identify new molecules that can actually be used as targets in order to treat a specific type of cancer. So, although our research is basic science, it also has a translational aspect, meaning what we find here with identifying the lab, eventually it can be used later on in the clinics and hopefully it will be used to treat patients. The main type of research that we are currently focusing on has to do with the so-called tumor microenvironment. So, it's important to know that apart from the cancer cells that they are expressed in different types of organs, there are also other types of cells which can be considered as normal ones, whether these are immune cells or fibroblasts or endothelial cells and different other types, which they have the ability of sending signals to the cancer cells, as well as the cancer cells can send signals to the normal cells surrounding them. It's important because we can use somehow this mechanism that cells send signals between them and interfere and probably send another type of message to the cancer cells, promoting them or telling them to die and commit the so-called suicide or scientific term apoptosis instead of proliferating even more and becoming more aggressive. So this is something that interests us quite a lot the last year, and this is part of our work.
To Tyne Wear now, where local students had the chance to find out about all kinds of manufacturing jobs at a special careers fair. The northeast of England has a rich industrial heritage, going even before the Industrial Revolution, when it was the centre of alkali manufacture, which was used to make soaps and glass.
My main role is looking after overseas training for the plant, but I have a serious role which is actually school engagement. And actually that's what this is all about today. So this is bringing young people in, giving them the opportunities to see what careers in manufacturing and engineering is all about.
And why is that important in this day and age when we're all on computers and we're all, downloading things on apps? Why do we need to get guys and girls interested in manufacturing?
Yeah, in this area, manufacturing and engineering is a huge sector. There's 30,000 plus jobs in this region based around that career path. And actually a lot of children say, oh, degrees are for me, but actually there's other ways through that. You can do apprenticeships or do A-levels, come back to do programs with us. So there's lots and lots of different ways you can get in. What we're trying to do is show the kids the different pathways, different ways you can get into this industry.
And one thing, it feels silly to point it out, but there's a lot of girls here, and rightly so, they should be anyway, but there's a big drive, isn't there, for you to engage with more girls in engineering? Yeah,
it's a strange thing that obviously their granddad, dad is trying to push it, but I really want to get more girls involved. In this programme, I've been lucky enough to do world finals, and 60% of the people competing are female. And actually that's what we need to do here. We need to get girls interested in manufacturing engineering. They bring a different mindset, a different set of skills. But actually at the moment, that's not the path they're being steered down, and we need to show that there are good careers. And I say careers, it's not just a job. And don't just think, oh, I'm going into a factory. I'm based in a factory in Sunderland. I travel the world with my job. We've had schools from the northeast competing in Austin, Texas and in Singapore. So those kids have had life-changing opportunities. Some of the kids here from Manuel College, they've been signed up by the Williams Randstad. So one of the racing teams. So the kids are actually judging this year, but those kids have, the opportunities for them are phenomenal.
Next up, we're heading to Portsmouth to climb aboard the British Royal Research Ship. Now, the RRS James Cook is named after the renowned British explorer. It was on this vessel in September 2015 that oceanographers pictured what was thought to be the first blue whale in English waters since the mammals were almost hunted to extinction in the northeast Atlantic.
Named after the explorer Captain James Cook, famed for discovering Australia, the research ship RSS James Cook is packed with scientific equipment designed to give us a better understanding of our oceans, as well as to probe previously unknown areas of the seabed. So I jumped at the chance to climb aboard to have a look around before the ship set sail for its next exploration.
Over the last
2-3 months, James Cook has been working out of Tenerife. She was down doing a cruise about 240 miles southwest of Tenerife using an ROV. They were sampling the seabed and looking at the structure of the seabed. During that cruise they were fortunate enough to rescue 5 Germans from a yacht that sank very close to them, and then they dropped them back off at Tenerife. We then came back from Tenerife and we're now in Southampton carrying out a short maintenance period.
Life on board for the crew and scientists can be hard at times, but the ship has plenty of space to make it a home away from home.
Hardships we face at sea, obviously we're away from home. We're spending up to 55 days at sea without anything to look at except the sea. There's obviously the isolation, the loneliness from your family, which was compensated by the time off. But whilst on the vessel we do have access to the internet, so we can email every day, and we also get the chance to phone home as well. So while we're far away, we're still quite close.
Not forgetting that it's a working vessel, the ship has much heavy machinery, not only for its own propulsion, but also to handle the large pieces of scientific equipment on board.
Wärtsilä diesel generators, they provide all the electrical power for the ship. Inside this room here we've got our main switchboard for distributing the electricity, and there's also 2 big electric motors which drive the propellers from the James Cook. It's quite a noisy and dangerous place to be in the environment here. Safety is my #1 priority. Obviously I have to provide a safe platform for my crew and the scientists and technicians to work from. That's the main priority.
Well, as the crew prepare for their next voyage, I made my way back onto dry land.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 1, but before the break, it is time for our weekly quiz. So, in which English city would you find the heaviest church bells in the world? Is it A, Warwick, B, Liverpool, or C, Durham? Join us to find out the answer after the break. Hello and welcome back to Digital Nation. Now, before the break, we asked you, in which English city would you find the heaviest church bells in the world? And the answer? It was, of course, Liverpool. Yes, there are 13 bells at Liverpool Cathedral, which weigh in total 17 tonnes, as well as the Great George, which weighs 15 tonnes and even larger than Big Ben. Now we head to Norwich. Sepsis is now the second biggest killer of new mums. It's a life-threatening condition that occurs when the body tries to fight infection but ends up injuring its own tissues and organs. In this, we meet a mother whose condition almost killed her, not once, but twice. Mustard TV, tell us more.
Having a newborn baby is a tough job for any first-time parent. And when Rachel Wilde developed flu-like symptoms 7 days after giving birth to her son, Rowan, she put it down to a lack of sleep. But 4 days later, she was back in hospital, with doctors fighting to save her life. She developed sepsis, a condition she'd never heard of.
See, I didn't think I was that ill. I just kept looking after my little boy, and I kept feeding him. And it wasn't until they told me when they discharged me how lucky I was that I'd got in within that time frame.
Sepsis is a life-threatening condition where the victim's body attacks itself when fighting an infection. But just a year later, the symptoms returned again, and she managed to drive herself to hospital before collapsing in A&E.
It was more of a flashback sort of thing, but it's just, the thought of possibly losing her to the evil sepsis stuff goes through your mind, but this time I was a bit more able to deal with the emotions because I'd been there before, so I was a bit more stronger, but I was always strong in front of her. But as soon as I was on my own, you're on your own, you can be a bit weaker.
After beating it again, Rachel's now taking on a challenge to try to help other victims to catch it quickly. Despite still suffering from side effects like fatigue, weakness and shortness of breath, she's planning a 25-kilometre trek in the Brecon Beacons. She's hoping to raise £400, but says the main aim is for people to hear her story.
I had gone through the 9 months of pregnancy and I knew nothing about it. I wasn't even aware to look out for infections or the symptoms of it.
Rachel and Aaron will set off on their trek at the beginning of June, hoping their efforts will mean any other family faced with the same ordeal will also have the same happy ending.
To Edinburgh now to visit a brand new taxidermy exhibition at the National Museum of Scotland that's presenting over 50 species of primates in a recreated jungle environment. And the exhibition aims to highlight the importance of conservation by illustrating the animals as they would have existed in the wild.
Tell me about the whole process, how it all came about. How did you manage to acquire these primates?
Well, all of the animals that you see on display here are animals from zoos. So they've died of natural causes in zoos all over Britain and also in some zoos in Europe. So nothing has been killed for it. They're all natural deaths. And we've collected them over the last 25 years, and in the last 3 years we've actually done the taxidermy to produce the animals showing particular behaviour. So you can see some feeding, you see some moving around. So we've tried to make it as realistic and authentic as possible.
If there's one message that you want people to take away from this and think about something, what is it?
Well, we want people to engage with what they can do in their own lives to help save primates and other rainforest animals. There's lots of little things we can do about what products we buy and how we live our lives. And you can find out all about those, and you can make a pledge to how you're going to help save primates.
Who do you think was the first woman outside the royal family to be commemorated with a statue? Over to Creative Kingdom to find out.
Britain is encrusted with statues to Queen, whoever, and Princess What's-Her-Face. But who was the first non-royal female to get their own monument? It was this woman, Dorothy Patterson. Born in Yorkshire in 1832, she became a nun at the age of 32, devoted her life to nursing and became known as Sister Dora. She spent the rest of her life in Walsall and treated thousands of patients during a smallpox epidemic from an infirmary located on Dead Man's Lane. She was particularly renowned for treating railway workers at a time when it was one of the most dangerous jobs in the country, and they repaid her with a pony and a carriage and £50 from their own wages so she could do her rounds. And when she died in 1878, the whole town turned out and dedicated a statue to her. Proof, once again, that when it comes to creativity, innovation and putting women on a pedestal, int was all mint.
To Cardiff now, and a visit to a local gallery that's showcasing the work of a true father and son team. Landscape artist Alex Arnold is showing some of his unique creations alongside the bronze sculptures made by his father. What a talented Jean Poulet.
I'm here in Victorian Gallery with Victoria herself. How are you doing, Victoria? Are you okay?
Yeah, good.
Okay, brilliant. So I understand we have some Alex Arnold paintings behind us. They're the newest feature to the gallery, if I understand correctly.
They are, yes.
And so you're having an exhibition about these paintings soon, are you?
Yeah, we had our preview Friday night, which went really well. And Alex and his father were here. So we have an open evening to launch the new exhibition.
So I've noticed, Victoria, that Alex's paintings are quite unusual. What do you think it is about them that's so unique?
He's so free with his paints.
Yeah.
He uses acrylic, but he just uses anything that he can find. So he might use paintbrush, palette knife, a bit of cloth, and splat it on, use his fingers. He's really sort of, he gets in there and puts his expression on each painting.
We're going underground now to meet a group of students who have discovered a previously unknown cave underneath their Nottingham home. Now, caves are integral to the city's history, particularly thanks to the Industrial Revolution, when an influx of people arriving to find work led to slum landlords housing families beneath the ground.
So we moved into the property and we weren't told anything about a basement and especially nothing about a cave.
A group of third-year student tenants on Mansfield Road were shocked to find a cave underneath their home.
So the cellar has always been locked. We lived in the property for about 4 months now, and we'd always thought this cupboard on the ground floor was just any other cupboard, but it turns out some maintenance people came the other day and they left this door unlocked. So we had a look inside, and it turns out there was a staircase which led down to a basement. So we went and we explored the basement, and then we found another set of stairs which went down again, which turned out to lead into a cave.
Nottingham has more than 700 caves, and many date back to the 18th and 19th centuries.
Yeah, a few doors down there's another small domestic cave cellar, and I believe there's probably quite a lot in this particular part of the city, and I'm convinced there are a lot more, particularly in the Mansfield Road area of the city.
This 19th century cave would have been used as a domestic cellar for the property above, and the shelves would have stored wine and beer. For now, this newly discovered cave will be recorded on the Nottingham City Historic Environment Record, and from there future research may be conducted.
To Bristol now, and if you're a football fan, you'll find yourself either in awe or in fury at those spectators who run onto the pitch and disrupt the match. So let's see how you feel about a Bristol freestyle footballer who stunned the crowds at the home of Premier League champions Leicester City with a carefully choreographed pitch invasion.
Wow, I've watched that probably about 10 times now. The question on everybody's mind though, was it staged?
Yeah, I mean, like, parts of it were staged, but on the day there was still a chance that it could have gone horribly wrong and a steward could have just come along and flattened me. But we did pitch the idea to Leicester, they really liked it, and we're glad that it got, you know, exactly the reaction that we wanted. But the nutmeg though, that was legitimate. He did not know that was coming. That was not staged at all, and I'm really happy that part actually came off.
So what was your reaction from the crowd?
It was unbelievable. Like, it all happened so quickly, but at the same time it felt like it was lasting an eternity. Initially, when I came onto the pitch, they were like, "Who is it?" Then when I knocked the ball off, it was like, "Oi, what's he doing?" And then as soon as I started doing some tricks, I was like, their favourite person. It all worked out really, really well. And then they weren't expecting a steward to pull out a skipping rope and do that either, so no, it was brilliant.
So how long did it take to rehearse? Because there was quite a lot in it, and there's quite a risk of some of it, you know, potentially going wrong.
We kind of... We had the idea for a very long time, but we knew on the day that it could be very subject to change very quickly. So we kind of had to play it by ear a bit as well, and well, we kind of just took it by ear, really.
So I've got you here right now. So what I want you to do is show me some of those amazing tricks. So Steve, take it away.
And that's it for this week's show. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget, if you have missed any episodes, you can catch up by visiting the BBC website, bbc.co.uk/digitalnation, or log on to your own local TV channel's website. So until next time, goodbye.